Great. Welcome everybody to
this meeting is being recorded.
Fifth meeting of the Environmental Facilities Corporation Board of Directors. It is 10:04. Madam Secretary, we call the roll, please.
Certainly. Chair Stefanko.
Here.
Westerman. Here. Director Leary.
Here.
Director Corcoran. We confirmed that before we're broadcasting. We can see him. Director DeMarquis. Here. Director Krasansky.
Here.
And last but not least, Director Zarowski.
You always say that to me. I'm here.
Don't want you to feel left
Well,
out.
by first name, we could go the other way around.
There you go.
That's maybe someday.
It's wonderful. Okay, first item on the agenda is approval of the draft minutes from August 24. We had full membership of the board, so no worries there. I'll take a motion in a second, please.
I'll motion to approve.
Thank you. Thank you, Vita. Any discussion? Excellent. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay, unanimous. I reported the chair. I have nothing to report other than I apologize for not being able to attend today. This week has gotten away from me, sadly. But beautiful day for you guys to get out and see a good project. Miss you all. Madam President.
Since you mentioned Kingston, and yeah, disappointing folks that can't make it, but especially on this gorgeous day. So we'll be going to Kingston, and it's the we're providing drinking water funding for dam reservoir rehabilitation under EPA's class exception that was issued in June of 2021. Prior to that, you couldn't fund dams and reservoirs. So this is the first one that we'll be funding. I'll turn it over to Brock, who helped us set up this trip, and he can tell you a little bit about the project.
Yes, thank you. So as Maureen said, this is the first financing that we're doing under the class exception for rehabilitation of dams and reservoirs. The Cooper Lake Reservoir is a man-made impoundment constructed back in, I think, the mid 1800s, as well as the dam. There have been rehabilitation of the dam up until like the 1927, which is before this project. That was the last known rehabilitation. So it was as it was in 1927. It is considered by DEC as a Class C high hazard dam, which I believe that means that if that dam were to fail, it would cause serious public health threat to, or not public safety to communities downstream for flooding. And not to mention that it is the primary raw water storage for the city of Kingston. So the reservoir is is used primarily for surface water, for drinking water for the city of Kingston. DEC did an inspection about 9 years ago, determined that there were some significant safety hazards, deficiencies associated with the dam, and that's kind of that is definitely what sparked this project. They are going to repair the dam. There's some slope stability issues on the dam and the west dike. They are leveling the west dike, not meaning that they're removing it, but they are actually bringing in fill and leveling that dike. They are constructing a new spillway for the dam. And the dam will actually be raised 5 feet, but even though it's being raised 5 feet, they're not increasing the capacity of the dam. The capacity of the reservoir is 1.2 billion gallons, and it will remain that way. In order for them to increase the capacity of of the reservoir, they would have to raise the level of the west dike as opposed to just leveling it. And that's something they might do way down the road if they need to. But as far as the water supply, there's also a water intake structure that had significant leaks. So the water intake structure has intake piping and valves inside it. That concrete structure was some significant leaks where they could not pump out the water to be able to maintain those valves and metering and piping. So all that infrastructure inside that intake needs to be replaced. So they're constructing a new intake and new piping associated with our intake structure. So we'll be going down and seeing it. I think the project is probably more complete. We would probably have liked to have seen something that's maybe 50% under construction, but I think they're closer to being, it might be around 90%. But at least they'll be able to show us what.
And I don't have it in front of me. Do you know how much we provided?
The financing,
16.
but yeah, the total project cost was 16 million. I believe they got a WIA grant of 3.
Might be 19 million on the project.
So I think it may have been like 17.
Okay.
So, well, maybe if the financing was.
They were in the pool originally for $16 million. They're trying to progress and they have all the contracts in. So we pulled them out of this pool. But I believe that the number of pool financing was going to be about 16.
Expecting to fund it next year.
In next year's pool, yes, it should be done. The late spring, early summer, but they just didn't. They had too much unknown in the project cost.
Another thing about the project that it was important for them to have an alternate or a temporary water supply while they're doing work on the dam. So they constructed I think it's a 16-inch pipe. I forget how many feet, but it's a significant length of pipe. But it was a connection to New York City DEP's Ashokan Reservoir to supply up to, I think, 2 million gallons a day to the city while they're doing.
And that'll stay in place? Would that be like a backup or
Well,
an emergency thing? Or?
It's the pipe, the actual pipe was temporary. That's my understanding. There were some permanent fixtures. I don't recall specifically what the permanent structures were, because in the future, I think they want to make that an permanent emergency connection. But I believe the piping itself is temporary. That was just probably timing cost. Having to probably bury that pipe, get it installed permanently.
Longevity of the construction.
Right.
Thanks. And thanks, Brock, and our assistant, Don Lazo, for helping set this up. A lot of coordination. WIA and IMG applications, we continue to review them. We received 482 total applications, 452 for WIA and 30 for IMG. And there were 187 applications for clean water, 295 for drinking water. WIA and IMG. So that's a lot of applications to review, but we're pretty much done with the review, quality checking, and taking another look, and to do that, keep you updated. 2024 IUPs, the comments were due last Friday, so both Department of Health and EFC are looking at the comments. Not many, at least on the clean water side, that are substantive. Although I do like that we're starting to get some substantive comments, because it means people are looking at the IUPs. We didn't used to get any comments. So we have a couple that we need to respond to. The others are specific to their own projects, like wondering why they scored what they scored, or another look at it. Dave, anything you want to share about the comments you received on the drinking water IUP?
I think similar to what you said, for years, we had just no real actual comments, just project specific small things. The last couple of years, we're seeing nothing huge, but actual programmatic more comments. If you said people are paying more attention, I think the bill made people aware. So most of the comments are kind of like, you know, change your disadvantaged community program, you know, EJ related things like that. For the most part, you know, at least those are the main ones.
What's the process for, so you get a comment or something interesting? Wow, that's an interesting, you know, idea. What then what? What's the process for internalizing that or debating it?
Well, I mean, number one, we respond directly, typically it's something like that to the whoever sent the comment. And then it's, you know, something we take into consideration. You know, a lot of times it's like, okay, this is your opinion on what we should be doing. We feel our way is better, and you know, we explain what we do. But if we see something that says, wow, that's a good point, you know, we might make that change for next year's draft IUP. We would at least discuss it and consider it.
Like we've talked for years about sort of, you know, the hard dollars for the infrastructure and then more and more, I know, you know, asset management, even capacity, you know, for, you know, human capacity in these facilities. Just wondering if any comments were around that or is that, and then of course there's the law says and you can use the money for. I guess if anybody's coming forward with any of those, like more uses for them, rather than steering it differently, additional uses for the money.
I mean, we occasionally get comments related to planning grants like Clean Water has.
Yes,
you know, which I think generally is a good idea. It's just more logistically difficult to put in place. And, you know, to other technical assistance and things like that. And, you know, sometimes people want money used for things that we're not allowed to use it for, O&M related things. And, you know, they want us to help control, you know, water rates, which we don't dive that deep. But a lot of it is kind of pre-application technical assistance, which again, the bill has money in there now to help some communities with.
Yes, some of the comments are not IUP related.
Right.
They're more like programmatic. And so we'll reach out to them and help them. We have a lot of just direct conversations, but we do respond to anything that's related to the IUP and policy and program in the IUP in the final so that people can see.
Or direct them to where they need to go for their questions. Or
Yeah, and that
just so
we would do directly.
The questions are probably related to their success.
And sometimes we just need to clarify language, you know, so, but.
More, Madam President. Hold on, let me see.
Francis?
Madam President, better? No.
No.
That's much better, I know.
Okay, there, yes.
Did you have a question?
I did. Do you think there's any value in sharing the clean water intended use plans with the board or no?
Oh, you know, did we not do that this year, the draft? No, there's value. So I thought we usually share the draft, so I apologize.
We usually bring in the finals.
But you will definitely get the finals.
Okay. Yeah, just because it's always interesting as Charlie pointed out, and you know, just to kind of see what they're thinking and doing.
Mm-hmm. And happy to share the comments with you as well.
No, that's all right.
Some are difficult to understand, but to follow. But yes, I apologize for not sharing the draft.
No, that's okay.
We normally do when they get sent out, get posted. So we will go through those comments as quickly as possible so that we can get the final IUPs out. You know, the fiscal year has started.
Yeah, my mug says, Madam President, don't worry. So you can send the finals. That's fine.
Thank you. Draft annual information statement is going to be discussed under ID number 1, and I haven't seen him, but I see his name. So Chris Wright-Soul, who I should have probably introduced, although his don't just see his name. He is our disclosure counsel. So he has joined us there he is. He has joined us today. In case you have any questions, he can answer on the AIS, and Henrik will be talking about that. 2023 C, the pool. Updates from Brian.
Sure. As I said earlier, we've had a few drops, kind of normal. We cast a wide net to begin with, but then once we get down, like Kingston, they had too much into contingency to move forward, and they said that they're going to need it all. So we just didn't feel comfortable putting them in. The one thing, since we met last, MMD, which is our benchmark for rates, has increased 50 basis points. Doesn't surprise anybody. The market's been fairly volatile. However, when you compare that to where we were last year when we did the pricing, it's only about 20 basis points higher than what we were. So we had a rally, but the yields dropped during the year, but now they've come back up. We have 2 more Fed meetings left this month or this year, November 1st, which is the day after we price, and December 13th. Talk is that there will be a 25 basis point increase during one of those meetings. What we're hearing is everybody's saying is higher or longer. Everybody predicted that the rates would drop early next year. I think it's going to be until 25. You see a rate drop, but I think you're going to be stable, after this next rate increase, whenever that's going to be. Obviously, the extension of the government shutdown is good for us. Interesting, they say that when you look back at it, that what happens right after a shutdown, bond rates drop. So they've gone back and looked at it for up to 2 weeks, 3 weeks, bond rates dropped 10 to 15 basis points. But we avoided that this time. But the one thing that that we're seeing is an orderly market. So deals are getting done, even though that the yields are going high. But there are people buying bonds. Texas Water, which is basically the same bonds as we're selling, was oversubscribed 4 times, and they sold last week. So they were able to reprice off of that. New York City Geo was in 2 weeks ago, or last week, I can't remember which one. They had a very good day too. New York Water had a very good day. So the high credit bonds are selling. So we're expecting to have our normal lots of participation. And with the higher yields, you're bringing in more of the retail, more of the what we call mom and pop. People that have some money and they're managing their own accounts. So we hopefully will see some of that too. But Adam, to your comment from last time about where do we look at to not do a deal, I think it's the orderly market more so than the rates. We have to rotate into long term. But if we didn't have a market, like we didn't have during COVID, like we didn't have after 9/11, that's when we pull a deal. The rates typically are not, but for a refunding, yes. If it was refunding, you would pull the deal because you wouldn't have the savings. But for a new money deal, we do need to be in the market. We need to sell the bonds. Any questions?
Thank you for your
Thanks for that.
Yeah, your optimism and
Thinking the best of it.
Yeah.
perspective.
We don't flood the market with bonds. What we hear from everybody is that our issue levels are such that everybody wants to buy our bonds. So they're there. They're there to participate. See, this is a smaller deal for us. And, hopefully everybody's set. So.
Environment or subsidies, it's much more valuable.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
See projects on the way.
Yes. So of that 50 basis points increase from the last meeting, borrowers are only going to
increased 25 basis points. So,
And to your point, deals are getting done. So.
that's right. So,
And one just small little thing is that during Climate Week, there was a contest among all the state agencies and authorities to get to work sustainably. And EFC won in our category of 100 to 1,000 employees. And that
What
just.
does that mean? What did we win? Did we get like a prize? A prize?
Pride, nothing.
What funding?
Copy that Sheila made for us.
Pat on the back.
Pat on the back. This announcement. Yes.
Okay, okay.
So half of our employees came at least one day sustainably, walking, biking, taking carpooling or taking public transportation at least one day a week, in addition to telecommuting. Okay. That's all I have.
Thank you very much.
Put the trophy face.
Where's the trophy?
Oh,
Sheila has
Land it over there.
no, we were good. Getting it.
We're gonna skip.
Okay. No committees this month, no unfinished business, no, the resolutions.
ID number 1, a resolution of the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation authorizing and approving the annual information statement of the corporation.
Thank you. Can I have a motion in a second, please?
Second.
Okay, we have Francis, Charlie, and Vita there. Henrik will present.
Good morning, board members. Presenting for your consideration today, this year's annual information statement. This is a legal document provided for the benefit of bondholders pursuant to section 15C 212, promulgated by the SEC, or section 15C of the 1934 Securities Exchange Act. It's to help bondholders ascertain material information about the corporation. We've made some edits compared to last year. Naturally, we've included Emily Jameson as CFO, which has sort of changed that page. We've also decided that COVID is no longer a material fact to elucidate for the bondholders, but we are massaging the text with respect to cybersecurity. Very important topic now in the municipal market insofar as more and more issuers are having to deal with this. And it's time for us to include that. Again, we are still massaging that text with our disclosure counsel, Chris Reitzel, but that will be included in this year's AIS, which will be dated as of October 1st.
Questions for Henrik? Chris? Better? Okay. Move to a vote then. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Unanimous. Resolution number 2.
Resolution of the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation amending prior authorizations for financial assistance provided by the corporation to certain recipients in connection with the drinking water state revolving fund.
Okay. Can I have a motion and a second, please?
Make a motion.
All right, I think I got Christine, Adam, James threw a hand up, and Vito. That was almost an all play. Rebecca will be presenting.
Good morning. The first project is the town of Crown Point in Essex County for a maturity extension. This project includes upgrading 2 current water sources, replacing existing distribution mains, and replacing water meter systems. We're seeking an approval of the extension of the maturity date from December 17th, 2023 to December 17th, 2025. The reason for the delay stems back to a change in project scope in 2020. The original design, when the project first closed, had called for abandoning the town's Pearl Street well and installing a new well. The town was ultimately unsuccessful in tracking down a site for the new water source, which led them to switch to the project's current scope of upgrading existing sources. This change, which also led to a need for additional funding, was by the board in late 2020. The additional time is now needed to install water meters. Water meters are currently, system is currently under design, and the 2-year extension will provide sufficient time for the town to complete a regulatory review, conduct bidding, and complete construction. The second project is for the city of Rome. This is a funding increase. This project includes the installation of a new elevated water storage tank and improvement in installation of water main, proper looping to improve hydraulic pressure to meet the above 20 PSI requirement. Project costs when the city closed their current financing in late 2021 were $16.5 million. At that point in time, the construction contracts were all estimates, and now that the bids have come in, costs have increased quite a bit to $29.8 million. We're seeking approval to increase the city's financing to $14 million in short-term interest rate hardship financing, which brings them up to their maximum hardship capacity, and then also add an additional $10.5 million in subsidized financing. The city noted that the construction contract estimates were done right at the beginning of COVID, but by the time they bid, costs had increased significantly due to labor shortages, supply chain issues, raw material shortages, and high fuel costs. They did consider a significant reduction in scope, but in the end, they couldn't find any viable options. Questions?
All right. Further on that, we'll go to move to a vote. All in favor? Aye.
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 Unanimous. Resolution number 3.
A resolution of the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation making certain determinations and authorizing certain actions in connection with the drinking water state revolving and authorizing financial assistance payments to certain municipalities to fund eligible drinking water projects from funds appropriated for water infrastructure improvement projects.
Okay. Motion and a second, please.
So moved.
Thank you, Francis.
Second.
James, thank you very much for the second. Dave Phillips will present.
Okay, thank you. So the first project up is the Albertson Water District in Nassau County. This is for a WIA grant. The project includes a new advanced oxidation process, or AOP, and a granular activated carbon, or GAC, treatment systems to remove 1,4-dioxane and PFOA from the district's well 3A. The next project is the town of Hume in Allegheny County. This is a long-term interest-free financing. The short-term originally included a DWSRF hardship grant as well. So the project included an extension of the town's public water to serve and consolidate a small system, which is the Sanford Springs public water system. That system had previously been in violation of the surface water treatment rule for using an unfiltered spring source that was determined to be groundwater under the direct influence of surface water. So that's approximately 15,000 linear feet to extend to serve that system. That extension also included serving some residences along the way that had been on private wells that had quality and quantity issues. And the project also included replacement of approximately 5,000 linear feet of aged cast iron water main that was well beyond its useful life and was subject to frequent leaks and breaks. The next one is for the village of Little Valley in Cattaraugus County. This is a short-term interest-free financing and a DWSRF hardship grant. This project includes installation of a new well and treatment and upgrades to an existing well, both of which will address a violation cited by the county DOH for inadequate source capacity and lack of redundancy. The system currently has only one working well, which is not constructed up to current standards and is subject to flooding. And the project will also replace approximately 30,000 linear feet of aged water main that is beyond its useful life and subject to frequent leakage. Next project is for the village of Mayville, Chautauqua County. This is another long-term interest-free financing, where the short-term included a EWSRF hardship grant. This project included a new well that was installed to address a citation for insufficient source capacity. The project also included replacement of approximately 7,500 linear feet of aged water mains, replaced meters, and included a new storage tank, approximately 300,000 gallon storage tank. A large portion of this system was originally constructed in the 1930s and hasn't been upgraded since then. So these upgrades will significantly improve pressure in the system, reduce the severity of leakage and main breaks, and will generally increase and improve flows throughout the system. Then we have two for the Plainville Water District and Nassau County, both receiving EC grants. So the first one is a new AOP treatment system and includes rehabilitation of their existing GAC system. And these new treatment systems will remove 1,4-dioxane and PFOA at the district's plant number 3. And then the second Plainville project also is an EC-WIA grant project. Also is a new AOP system and a new GAC treatment system to remove 1,4-dioxane, PFOA, and PFOS at the district's plant number 4. The next one is town of Schodack in Rensselaer County. This is for a WIA grant. So this project will include approximately 5,700 linear feet of water main to completely replace the entire existing distribution system in an existing privately owned water system for the Batiste subdivision. So we'll replace all the pipes and valves and appurtenances, and we'll add meters to a previously unmetered system. So the town will be taking over this private system and will be has already formed the town of Schodack Water District number 10. And they will install 2,500 linear feet of main along New York State Route 9 to connect the system, the new Water District 10, into the existing town district number 1, which will provide a redundant connection to serve that area. And this project will eliminate small diameter pipes that were frequently had breaks and leakage, and it will improve pressure and water quality for the people in that area. And then the last project is for the town of Willsboro in Essex County. This is short-term interest-free, short-term market rate financing, as well as a WIA grant. The project is for a new water treatment plant to replace their existing plant. It'll be a new packaged filtration plant, includes all new chemical feed systems as well. The project also includes distribution system upgrades, mainly adding pipe to create looping to eliminate dead ends. And it also includes a new 500,000 gallon storage tank to replace the existing smaller 200,000 gallon tank. So the new plant and pipe looping will address disinfection byproducts issues by reducing organics. The plant will be more efficient removing organics from the raw water. And the loop mains will reduce water age in the system. And the new tank with its larger size is needed to ensure that adequate storage will be supplied to meet the system's demands. That's all. Questions?
Let me ask about the absolute last one. It says in the write-up, again, just all the work that you said, and a lot of it due to the increased, it says it twice, increased, demand population. So when I see that, I wonder who says that and what's that based on? So the community comes in and says, this is what we have, like you said, a water storage this much, we need more. Tell me if there's the back and forth on, let's talk about your population, where it's going, what are the projections? Does that ever get tested?
So we would, be reviewing the engineering report.
Yep.
In this case, it's a 200,000 gallon tank to a 500.
Right.
It's not, even though it's more than double, it's not that much more storage. So if we see something that like raises a flag where you're, adding millions more, whatever, we would definitely look into that. Why is that needed? In most cases, it's the original tank might be 50 years old. So the town has just grown in population, outgrown its tank. In this town, I know one, I want to say issue they have, they have more seasonal people there than they've had in the past. And then, they're also, like most systems do, you have to plan for reasonable future growth. You don't want to install a new tank and then have to replace it in 10 years. So it's really just new people coming in, growth over the past few decades, planning for the future. And that's why
Charlie, are you asking whether or not there's any sort of, for lack of a better term, due diligence around those assertions?
Yeah, so again, I'll give you my perspective, and then again, I appreciate that, you're right, every place is different, seasonal, okay. Because my perspective, I take a sort of a 30-foot view, and I go back and I go, when that was built, the population was probably 30% higher than it is today. I think a lot of the local people, they like to plan for, again, that's their business, more people, this factory could come in, that could be replaced, local sort of always looking for economic development. And you're right, things change. A lot of things change, seasonal, even the amount people use, individuals use. So I understand that. I guess what I'm sort of looking for is almost like an official, well, these are the census numbers of the last 50 years, like a school district. You keep saying you're planning for more, but we haven't seen it in 50 years. It keeps going the other direction. Let's talk about the capacity you say you need and why. Again, so I appreciate like you said, the closer you, I'm wondering if maybe a little bit of, absent due diligence, almost like, hey, here's some official numbers. Tell us why you think you're going to deviate from those.
Well, we don't look at population necessarily on its own.
Right.
Any engineering report like this,
demand.
We're looking at the demand over time. And so again, if we see something where, like you said, demand has been decreasing,
right.
Now you want to double the size of your tank, we're going to look into that more. We're going to, contact the engineer and talk about it. We're going to contact the local health department and see what they say about it. But my understanding in this case, it's warranted. Again, it's not like they were increasing it by 10 times.
Right. Okay.
Which would raise the flag for sure.
Thanks. I just have one more question. The one just before it, the SCODAC, like an abandoned system. Again, from the words, it looks like abandoned system putting in like a new system, not even using the abandoned. And it looked like the abandoned one had no meters, and it looked like the new one didn't have meters in there.
Well, all right. So it's an existing privately owned system that just serves a subdivision.
Exactly.
And it's sufficient.
That's right.
So it's currently being used by people who live there. So the town is taking over. They're going to completely replace that system, call it a new water district.
Yep.
And it's brand new pipes, valves, everything. And also they're adding service meters. Currently, that's not
so they're adding meters.
They're adding meters.
I got it.
Currently, they don't have meters.
Okay, great.
Subdivision.
Thank you. Good.
That's it. Yeah, meters. Nothing further. We will move to a vote. ID number 3. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. ID number 4.
Item number 4, a resolution of the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation making certain determinations and authorizing certain actions in connection with the Clean Water State revolving fund. So, Mr. Chair, I just want to note there are no clean water leads up for the current.
May I have a motion and a second, please?
I'll make a
Vita,
motion.
thank you for the motion. Workflow's working today. How about a second?
Second.
James, thank you very much. Bill Brazell will be presenting.
Hey, good morning. Today we have 6 clean water projects before the board for new financings. First, we have a long-term interest refinancing for the town of Amsterdam in Montgomery County. Requested authorization is just over $2.6 million. This project upgraded various pump stations throughout the city and also included some upgrades at the wastewater treatment plant. At the treatment plant, they replaced a number of pumps and associated valves and piping with those pumps. This project serves an environmental justice area and a disadvantaged community area in the city of Amsterdam. Construction is expected to be completed in December. It's wrapping up now. Next, we have the new short-term financing for the village of Bath in Steuben County. This is a bipartisan infrastructure law or bill project. We are looking at over $14.7 million in bill grant and $23.7 million in bill interest-free loan. Project also includes nearly $1.3 million in interest-free loan for the base program and a $2.7 million TWSRF grant. The Village of Bath Speedies permit was modified to include more stringent nutrient loadings for nitrogen and phosphorus associated with protecting Chesapeake Bay watershed. In order to address the new permit requirements, the village developed a multi-phase program. Phase 1A was constructed in 2016, and this project will finance phases 1B and phase 2. We're doing some general upgrades at the wastewater treatment plant, new headworks, conversion to a membrane bioreactor or MBR process, implementation of a new disinfection system, and new sludge holding tank. Along with these improvements, the capacity of the treatment plant is also going to expand from 1 million gallons per day to 1.3. And this project was supported by an engineering planning grant from 2016. Construction is expected to start this fall and be complete in January 2026. Next, we have a short-term financing for the city of Long Beach in Nassau County. This financing is short-term market rate financing of nearly $149 million. The short-term funding through EFC will pre-finance a FEMA grant that the City of Long Beach is expecting to receive, and they do not expect to convert to a long-term financing. The City of Long Beach owns a 5.4 million gallon per day wastewater treatment plant and collection system. In 2012, the storm surge from Hurricane Sandy inundated the wastewater treatment plant, causing severe damage. So this project will eliminate that wastewater treatment plant. They'll build a pump station and a force main to send the wastewater to Nassau County's Bay Park wastewater treatment plant. The force main is approximately 3.6 miles long, will be 3.6 miles long, 24 inches in diameter. So a rather substantial undertaking. Along with the Bay Park conveyance project and this Long Beach project, that will reduce the amount of treated wastewater being discharged into the western bays and southern Long Island to have a drastic improvement on water quality in that area. Construction is anticipated to start this fall and be complete in October of 2026. Next, a much smaller project, another short-term financing. This is for the village of Lindenville in Orleans County. $576,000 short-term interest-free financing. The project will add disinfection to the village's wastewater treatment plant as required by DEC. And this project was supported by an engineering planning grant awarded in 2018. Construction started in December 2022 and is expected to be complete later this year. Next, we have the village of Rhinebeck in Dutchess County. It's another short-term financing, $5.5 million short-term interest-free financing. The village of Rhinebeck has a 0.26 MGD wastewater treatment plant that was constructed in 1984 and is reaching the end of its useful life. Phase 1 of this project will include new bar screen, new sludge pumps, and disinfection system. We're also going to be upgrading the oxidation ditch and clarifier system, and along with numerous electrical upgrades. Phase 2 will occur at a later date, will be improvements in the collection system. Construction is expected to start next March and will be complete in December 2025. And then finally, we have the Village of South Dayton in Cattaraugus County. So $392,000 short-term interest refinancing and a $357,000 market rate financing. The market rate financing pre-finances a WQIP grant. The Village of South Dayton owns and operates a wastewater treatment plant with a permitted capacity of 80,000 gallons per day. This project will add chlorine disinfection to the treatment process. We're also going to upgrade some other processes at the plant, replace aeration blowers, new final clarifier, new generator, and some pump station upgrades. And this project received a engineering planning grant in 2019. Construction started this past spring and is expected to be complete in August of 2024. Any questions on these projects?
Great. We'll move to a vote on item number 4. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. The final idea is number 5.
A resolution of the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation making certain determinations and authorizing the transfer of certain funds to Saratoga Plan.
I have a motion and a second.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Charlie.
Second.
Thank you, Francis. Maureen will be presenting and I'll be assisting Maureen with questions.
Great. So in this proposal, we seek to provide $1 million of our clean water admin funds to Saratoga Plan for the purchase of, and they've already entered into a purchase agreement, approximately 30 acres of forested, undeveloped forested land and shoreline along Saratoga Lake. So they can preserve it undeveloped. One of the last pieces of that undeveloped property. And there's a steep slope, so any development on this piece of property would really cause problems with respect to erosion and concentrate stormwater influence into the lake because of the impervious. So we'd like to, help Saratoga Plan preserve that piece of property. And because of the help to Saratoga Lake and quality purposes, it meets our quality purposes requirement of admin.
You say admin funds.
Yeah, so our clean water administrative funds, which we've used in the past for other clean water purposes, like helping the clean water down in Long Island when they were looking at ways that you could get sulfur dioxide out of wells. Stony clean water program. We use it for asset management pilot. We've used it for capacity funding for folks that really need capacity funding. So unlike drinking water, which can only use their administrative funds for drinking water, purposes or admin, the clean water admin funds can be used for a broad array of water quality purposes. And I believe that this is a use of the $1 million. We would only, we understand the property is worth more than, $1 million, but we'd only pay up to $1 million an evaluation.
Because you look at the parcel, it's part of the open space plan. It's on the eastern shore of the lake, pretty prominent, somewhat peninsula out into the lake. It is one of the last parcels that is developable, that is undeveloped.
So DC couldn't just outright buy it?
Technically, we could. We is not a parcel that we have an interest in managing. So Saratoga Plan.
They'll manage it.
Saratoga Plan will manage it.
Open for people to use, or?
There will be public access. My understanding.
Can you tell me a little bit more about Saratoga Plan? I'm just looking them up now. No. What do you, like, tell me about what we've done to know Saratoga Plan.
They're Saratoga County not-for-profit dealing with land conservation, conservancy things within the county. I don't know too much more off the top of my head, but I could certainly have our folks who are more intimately involved with Saratoga Plan provide more information on some of the things they've done within the county and elsewhere, and if that, you know.
Giving it $1 million, I'd like to know.
Sure.
Just more broadly, if I could, and obviously in favor of using these dollars to preserve spaces like this, I'm just a little curious as to how you guys go about deciding which ones, because there's obviously lots of places in the state that could be bought up that could meet the criteria. So I guess what was the process here? Was it something they pitched to you? Do we have a process by which we identify best uses for these types of funds around the state and most optimal uses vis-a-vis water quality, or just what?
Yeah, absolutely, Adam. So the project itself, we've known about, DEC has known about for quite some time. Locals and electeds and others have an interest in preserving this property. The property is owned by a well-known family in Saratoga County, who originally wanted to develop the property. I think received some pushback from interest in that area that it should be developed because it's a very prominent piece of land on the lake. It would definitely impact the water quality, and because of the uniqueness of this parcel, and we don't really have much of a footprint in that area, and it's not really something that we would normally look at managing, unlike, parcels within the Adirondack or Catskill Park. It just wasn't something we really have the bandwidth to manage. The county, we've had discussions with the county. They weren't interested in managing it either for the same reasons. Saratoga Plan, offered that they would be willing to manage it and handle the purchase. They just, as a smaller land conservancy,
don't have the money.
They don't have the bandwidth to kind of purchase it outright. So normally we would use Environmental Protection Fund dollars and buy it outright, or reimburse, a larger entity like Open Space Institute or the Nature Conservancy like that normally for larger purchases. That's how our normal land acquisition process works. Utilizing the Open Space Plan. This one, because it's a grant, we don't normally grant land conservancies funds from our open space program. So talking to Maureen and seeing an opportunity, and Saratoga Plan moving forward with, discussions with the family on preserving the property. This seemed like a great opportunity to make sure all the, ducks lined up in a row, and we could preserve the property, make sure not developed. Very similar to other properties we've done. I mean, this one was unique just because I think it had a lot of interest in coming into DEC. So
It's a small amount of money too.
Right,
For how
yeah,
much land we can protect.
So the Saratoga Plan is holding development rights.
yes,
Yes.
they'll hold the title to the
And there'll be an exhibit to the deed similar to a deed restriction that it has to.
That's what I was gonna ask you. They
Yeah.
talked about the deed restrictions on it, and it's gonna be a trail. Cause I'm looking at their other projects they've done.
Right, they
so
do
there'll be
trail
Trail oriented work and things that.
To public center. that
Have you
makes
ever done
sense.
anything-
Property.
Exactly like this before.
ESC?
Yeah.
Not that I'm aware of, but
We made some money available in early 2000s, 319 money available to Suffolk County for land acquisition, 319. They ultimately did not access those dollars, so we have operated in this space.
Did we do some in the Adirondacks?
And Yes.
Yes.
It's based on the,
Bigger.
the TNC tracks.
Yeah, right.
Up in, Ponce.
We, other sources of funds have land acquisition components, but those funds have to go to a municipality. They're not eligible to go to.
Well, there's active markets, could have done it farmland, there's parkland, REDCs do park free, like a public, you know.
And we thought, given the water quality.
But this is water,
Yeah.
this is water bubble.
Yeah.
I love it.
Runoff issues and the water quality issues are in our wheelhouse.
I know that there are impairments at Saratoga Lake. I mean.
Right, there's paths, there's.
To me, this is
Great.
exactly.
So we will, in doing the grant agreement with Saratoga Plan, with the DEC, make sure we have.
Right.
Protections.
And then I see a future field trip.
With swimming.
Yeah, summertime with a kayak.
It's like a work lunch picnic.
Great, thanks.
Okay, great.
Super.
We'll move to vote on item number 5. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. That concludes our resolutions. I will call for a motion to enter into executive session pursuant to Public Officers Law, Article 7, Section 105, 1D, to discuss proposed and pending current litigation. Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Thank you, Francis and Charlie. I'll take a vote to enter into executive session upon, we're going to re-enter and then adjourn. Okay.
Just state.
Okay, great. All those in favor of entering executive session?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. Thank you. Welcome back, everybody. We're returning to public session, and just to confirm that no actions were taken during executive session. That'll conclude formal business unless anyone has anything they want to bring up at the end. We'll take a motion a second for adjournment.
Mr. I'll make,
Francis and Vita, thank you very much. Our next Board of Directors meeting will be held on Thursday, November 2nd at 11:30. All those in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes, thank you.